Hi everyone, welcome to episode 50 of Pantry to Plate. I'm Kristen, the food bank dietitian, and I'm coming to you live from the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. And today we are making something very, very out of the box. So I have a box of instant mashed potatoes. You can find these in any food pantry or any grocery store, maybe even corner store. And we all know how to make mashed potatoes from the box. Straightforward. Sometimes we might get bored with it, right? So today I'm going to show you how to make gnocchi from instant mashed potatoes. So gnocchi is an Italian style, or it is Italian culturally. Little potato dumpling. It's like a little bite-sized cloud. It's fluffy on the inside, and you can serve it with sauce just like it is pasta, or you can crisp it up in a pan and have beautiful brown outside and fluffy inside with other flavors. Those are two ways I'm going to show you how to serve it, but I'm going to show you how to make it from scratch. So traditionally, these dumplings are made from cooked potatoes. So you would boil a potato with the skin on it. So there's a Nona in a video that I watched who said 1 potato per person. So that's your rule of thumb. Make sure you leave the skin on it and there aren't any cracks, because if water gets inside the potato while it's boiling, it introduces water to the flesh and it kind of messes up the starchy component of the potato itself. So when you use instant potatoes, you don't have to worry about that step. It's going to take 30 minutes from start to finish to make the gnocchi after the potatoes are cooled down. So if you've got leftover mashed potatoes, pop them out of the fridge and you can just start making gnocchi. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with 1 cup of your instant mashed potatoes. I'm using an unflavored version. So the reason why I chose unflavored is because I can control the salt content. I took a look at the different types of flavored instant potatoes at the grocery store, and they have a ton of salt. And I understand that it tastes good, but you can add a little bit at a time, and then also consider the salt that's going to be in your sauce that you serve with your gnocchi. So this has 20 milligrams as packaged, not a lot of added salt, barely any. So we're gonna add a little bit to our mixture. So we've got our 1 cup of instant mashed potatoes, and I've got 1 cup of boiling water. So I'm just gonna pour that on top, give it a mix, and we would let that sit and come to room temperature, because you don't want it to be too hot. Otherwise, it will your dough will not come out perfectly fluffy and soft. So smells like mashed potatoes. It's gonna smell like mashed potatoes the whole time you're making it. So this is your first step. You're gonna set this aside and let it come to room temp. So I have some already done, so let's get those out. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the super easy cleanup version of this. So you traditionally could just use your countertop or a large cutting board. I'm gonna use a tray that has sides, and it's gonna keep all the flour and everything right here. You can use a baking dish that has sides, as long as it's large enough for you to work on, a cookie sheet, whatever, but it will help keep you contained and a little cleaner, so you don't have to sanitize your countertop and then clean it up after the fact with all the flour everywhere. So for our mix here, I've got some extra flour that I'm going to use to flour the surface, and as well keep my hands floured, because it's going to be dough just like bread, just like traditional pasta, so it's going to get sticky. So have some extra flour on hand. This is my 1 cup of instant potatoes, cooled down all the way. They're room temperature. They're soft, nice and soft. And then 1 egg, 1 cup of flour, 1 egg, 1 cup of leftover potatoes or instant prepared. So, and we're going to use half a teaspoon of salt for all of the gnocchi. Okay, so we're going to start by putting our flour down first. So traditionally when you make pasta from scratch, you start with a big mound of flour on your cutting space, your workspace, and then you make a little well in the middle. So you've got like little mountains on the side and it's empty here, just like that. We're gonna put our potatoes in the middle there. Mash them up as I do it. There we go. And then we're gonna take our egg and we're gonna place it right on top. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and mix my little egg before I add it in there. There we go. Okay, there's my egg. So I'm gonna put that in my little well of potato. And that's okay if it goes over there like it did. And my salt. So we're going to get the wet parts with the potato first in the middle as much as we can. And it's going to start pulling in the flour as you mix it all together. Don't worry about this, it will get combined in. You want your potatoes to just be wet enough to take in the flour, but you also don't want to overwork this dough. So we're not gonna knead it like you would if you were making bread, because we are not trying to build the gluten as if you were making bread. We want this to be fluffy and pillowy, and we don't need it to be really glutinous. So I'm gonna just go, because that's gonna happen, right? There. So got most of my egg there. So instead of really going hard at mixing this together, I'm just gonna push it together and mash it down. We're gonna just go like this over and over again. And I'm going to get this off real quick and add some extra flour to my hands before I really dig in there. Because if you notice, I didn't do that. There we go. So it's going to look floury for a little bit, and that's okay. There you go. Each time you push it in and push it down, you're just grabbing more of that extra flour on the outside. There you go. And it's going to start looking more like dough and less like a bunch of a big mound of flour. There you go. Get those extra bits. Put some more flour in my hands and push it together. Takes a little bit of focus there. And get this little extra bit over here. Mash it in. Yeah, so it's coming together even more and more. Take this little bit. So you notice I'm not kneading. I'm not doing a lot of extra movement. I'm just doing a little bit of folding and a little bit of pushing. So it's not super aggressive. There you go. See, we're almost all combined here. Okay. You're probably thinking that looks like a lot of flour. It looks really white and powdery. That's what you want. You want it to be nice and covered with flour because you don't want it to be sticky. And when you go to cook it, it doesn't matter if there's flour on the outside. It's going to either like help thicken your sauce or just keep it from sticking to each other. There we go. So look, here is our dough. Here's our ball of dough. It feels really soft and pillowy, kind of like a cloud, what I imagine a cloud would look like, or like the perfect pillow to lay your head on. It's really soft because you don't want to work it too hard. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse my hands real quick, and then I'm going to show you how the Nonas showed me to make it. Okay, there we go. I got a good view here still. I didn't show you prior to starting, but what you can do to keep your pan or your tray in place while you're doing the rolling step is to put a damp towel or paper towel underneath it so it doesn't move around on you, because we're about to start moving a lot. Perfect. So at this step, we're going to divide our dough so we can start to separate it into smaller bits to roll. So instead of like cutting it in half and having a large chunk to roll out, we're gonna roll it out in smaller bits. So your log of dough doesn't end up this long and like super skinny and it goes all over the place. So I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna use the back of this little spoon. I'm just gonna cut it down the middle. And I'm gonna cut it again. Okay, here we go. Just like that. So get this, flour first. Okay, all right, so here's our first, a bunch of dough that we're going to start rolling out. One thing that I found that really helped me as I was rolling it, instead of starting from this lump and just like rolling and rolling forever and waiting for it to expand out, I pushed it up a little bit and then I turned it over and then pushed it again. And as you do that, it expands outward. So I'm gonna push it in like this and then flip it over and then do that again. So as you do it, it makes your tube longer and you don't roll it the entire time. So I made that up while I was making gnocchi. It helped me. So we got it a little bit longer. So I'm going to roll it some. Go. And then I'm going to do that again. I'm going to push it and then do it again. So that makes it longer without you having to roll it all out. See how it's already? Yeah. Go. If you see some bits that want to come apart, no worries, just squeeze it back together because this is pretty foolproof. And I say that the first time you make it, it may not turn out exactly the way you want it to, and that is okay because we're not Nonas. And the more you try it, the better it will get. I think this would be really fun to make with kiddos. Okay. Yep, so I'm making it a little bit longer. Now let's roll it some more. So I saw all shapes of gnocchi. I saw some that had a beautiful texture on the outside. I saw some that were like more square, more rectangle, like they have different shapes. And that has to do with the size of your dough before you cut it. So you can make a very thin log of dough if you like and have small gnocchi, or you can make it a little bit thicker and you'll have bigger pillows of little dumplings at the end. There. So you see how I spread my fingers out like that? If you go like this, your ends of your dough are gonna start flapping around on the edges, and that's going to just make them, they might come loose from your whole piece of dough. So if you spread your fingers out like this, you're getting more surface area and it's expanding. You see how like wider it's getting just by me doing that? So do that with your hand, do it out. This little edge over here doesn't want to stay. That's okay. All right, that looks pretty good. It's about the diameter of, we'll say like a nickel, not necessarily a quarter. I'm gonna say a nickel. There we go. So you're gonna do that with all of your lumps of dough, and then once you get them all rolled out, you're going to chop them up into pieces. Okay. I'm happy with this. That's a good length. and it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. Okay, I'm going to go grab a butter knife, and that's going to be perfect for chopping this. Or my support system is going to go grab me a butter knife. So if you watch some videos of making gnocchi, you might see them work with like a pastry cutter, which is just like a flat piece of metal with a handle on it. And it goes chop, 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 chop. We're going to use a butter knife. It's going to work exactly the same way. I'm going to make sure my pot of water is boiling so we can toss it straight in the pot as soon as we get it all nice and chopped up. Okay, so here is where you decide like how wide you want your gnocchi to be. The first time I made it, I made them a little narrow, and you can make them as big or small as you want to. So I'm going to do it about here. So when you cut it, it's going to make a flat indentation, and that's what gives you the like indented shapes on the side is from the cuts that you make. So we're going to go like this. So you can see how it kind of goes in on the sides. Yeah, just like that. So, boop. Just like so. So it really is actually the shape of a pillow. I'm really excited that I figured that out on camera. I hope you're amused by that like I am. Oh my gosh. I'm so silly. Okay, so we have these little pillows of dough. Okay, so you can leave them like this, in this little cute little shape, or you can attempt to make the beautiful pattern that all the donuts made in all the videos. Now, it is not as easy as you might think it is, but there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can use a fork to do this. Okay, we're about to boil over here. So you can have your fork flat with the curved side facing up, so the bottom of the fork. And you're going to take the little piece of dough and you're going to roll it down the edge of the fork. Whoop. It's really hard to see, but it puts a little indentation on the side of your gnocchi, and that is going to help basically grab sauce. So when you think about rotini pasta is like a spiral, and it has all of those little indentions. Those are perfect for really saucy dishes. So that's what those little indentions do. So you're going to take it. I add a little flour to that so they wouldn't stick, and then you're just going to go roll it down the fork, and there's a pattern there, and it's really hard to see. There was another Nona that did this really cool thing where she just went whoop with her finger on every one of them, and she like pull it down as you pull it out, and I cannot figure it out. It doesn't work for me. So you have a lot of options though on how you choose for your gnocchi to look, and they don't have to be perfect. They look perfect. These look like beautiful little soft pillows, and then you can just feel how fluffy they are when you hold them between your fingers. Okay, so for cooking the gnocchi, all you do is add it to your boiling water. You want your water to be salted, just as if you were preparing pasta. I'll turn it down just a little bit. And when it's ready, it floats. That's it. It takes like 2 minutes. Okay. I'm going to show you it prepared with some marinara sauce and then crispy with a couple of extra flavors. Okay, so here we go. So I've got a strainer over a bowl here. So once it's done, I'll take it straight out of the water and put it here. So it's helpful to put your gnocchi in your straining spoon so it doesn't splash all over the place. So I'm gonna go just like that. Add it. And then drop it in the water. So all that flour that we have on the outside of it is going to add starch to the water in the same way that your pasta adds starch to the water when you cook pasta, when you boil pasta. So if you're making a really simple sauce, you can use that pasta water to help thicken up your sauce. Hands. All right. Just gonna give it a little bit of a mash, make sure it's all combined. And then we're gonna do my little smash and make it tall, flip it over, and then spread it out. Just like that. Okay, gnocchi's cooking. So you can make gnocchi with sweet potatoes or white potatoes. I saw a lot of cool recipes with the sweet potato gnocchi having like cinnamon in the mix and making it a little bit more sweet and savory. So that's really cool. If you have any leftover mashed sweet potatoes, or if you are, starting it from scratch. I was thinking about why aren't sweet potatoes available in dehydrated flakes? That sounds like a niche market that's missed. This one was spread out really quickly because of my little method that I used. Look, they are already floating. You can see them in the pot. Perfect. Yes, they're floating. I told you 2 minutes. And you could see also that I was able to get this log of dough ready for the next cut in 2 minutes. So it doesn't take very long to prepare this dish. I'm going to scoop out these that are done. Just little pillows. They're so pretty. Just like so. I'm wondering if anyone has had gnocchi before. Or have you ever seen gnocchi in a pantry? I have seen it at a food pantry, and I've always been curious if folks choose it and if they're interested in trying something new. So let me know. Okay, I'm gonna get this one cut up. I'm gonna add it to the pot, and I'm gonna show you this first batch in some sauce. So we're just gonna go boop, boop, boop. Super fast. Doesn't take a lot of time at all. Cool. Get my spoon and pot. So you see how I'm doing this like in batches at the same time? So when you get ready to make your gnocchi and your mashed potatoes are cool or they're leftover, go ahead and put your pot on the stove first so it gets boiling, and then you can start making your dough. So you can do it all consecutively. You got that first roll of dumplings in the pot. Go ahead and start doing the second one. You don't have to roll them all out and cut them all, and you can do it in stages so you can make it work for your time. Okay. So this first batch of gnocchi, here we go. Just gotta scoot my working station over here. Go. This first little bit, I'm gonna serve it with some marinara sauce. So you can use a jarred tomato sauce, or you can make some from any version of canned tomatoes that you have available. So this is just a plain tomato sauce, and I sauteed some minced garlic, so as much as you like. And I added some dried basil. You can use fresh if you have that, or Italian seasoning. There we go. So here's our gnocchi marinara from scratch, done in 24 minutes. Beautiful. So this is tomatoey and garlicky and fresh, fluffy gnocchi. And you can see these are already floating too. So I hope that you can see how quickly this goes once your cooked potatoes are cooled down. Because it can feel a little bit overwhelming to think about like making pasta from scratch, when in reality it's super simple, but making pasta does take a little bit more time because you have to roll it out into sheets and then cut it really thin, and it takes a lot more time. So this is an option for you when you don't have as much time and you want to be creative. Okay, so I'm going to switch out my pans here so I can show you the crispy version, and then we're going to wrap it up. It's not going to take very long at all. So I've got some olive oil in the pan here, just enough to coat the bottom. All right, got this second batch here. So you can make this crispy version from the raw dough. So you do not have to boil it like I did here. And it's totally fine that I did. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna add some garlic to my oil and get that sauteing. It only takes a couple minutes once it's hot, because we want that oil to be flavored with garlic. Just remember, you can always use your ground spices that you have on hand. So you're probably thinking, you want me to make gnocchi from scratch and you want me to cut garlic and take all the skin off of it? It's a big ask. I understand. So no stress. You do not have to do all of that. It already smells so super fragrant and it's nice and hot in the pan. There we go. You want to make sure that you don't cook it too hot. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. And then we're going to add in some spinach after we get our gnocchi in there. Okay. Here's our fresh gnocchi with our garlic. Okay. You can be super creative with the things that you combine in either a sauce or in a sauteed dish for this. So whatever you have on hand is going to work really well. Go. So I've got some fresh spinach here, and I'm just going to take a little handful, and I'm going to use my hands to break it up. This is baby spinach, so it has tiny little stems. Sometimes you'll come across spinach that has larger stems, so it's up to you if you'd like to pinch those off. But these are small, so you can bypass that stuff. Garlic and spinach gnocchi. So you're going to get a little bit of protein from your gnocchi because it has egg in it. So you could use a whole grain flour if you would like to try that. It's going to give you a little bit more protein, and it will also give you some whole grains in there, so a little additional fiber. So you just treat your gnocchi as your starch portion of your meal. Okay. I mean, and that's that. It's done. Like, it doesn't take very long to combine this second dish. This one is super basic with garlic and spinach. You can add in some fresh or canned diced tomatoes. You could add some beans for some extra protein, or this can be your side dish. So you've got a lot of options here. Okay. Serve this up. Put a little bit of Parmesan on top. Also on top of our tomato sauce. And there you go. 2 dishes, 2 different ways to prepare and serve gnocchi made with instant mashed potatoes. So remember, if you've got leftover mashed potatoes, that is a perfect way. This is a perfect way to refresh your leftovers, or just mix up how you're going to be eating your instant potato flakes. So partners, you may be seeing those dehydrated potato flakes on eHarvest in the coming months. We're expecting them over the next few months in our TFAP program. So when you see those, you can think about different ways you could talk about them to your neighbors and how they could use them. So hopefully you will try one of these dishes with marinara or yummy garlic sauce with spinach. And I hope I shared something inspiring for you to make instant mashed potatoes differently. So mix it up for yourself and think outside of the box. I hope you'll try it, and I will see you in a couple of weeks for our next episode in February. See you later.